Hopefully here, mics are up. Camera up in a second.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to. That's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association from the CZ Studios.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Friday edition of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is, I guess Greg would say, finally upon us. Friday's his favorite day. I kind of dig Mondays. I'm with Andy Hoosier on that, and I like my Fridays too, but I know you do as well.
Yeah.
I know everybody does. Everybody likes Friday. The only thing I have a problem with Friday, wishing Friday, you wish for Fridays to come. I kind of feel like you're wishing your life away, you know? You spend the whole week waiting for that next 7 days. The next thing you know, 10 years have gone by. And you think,
yeah, but you spend your life away. You spend too many days working your life away. You can't wait to have a day for yourself.
Well, this isn't work. This is fun. It's work.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried, Greg. I tried to convince myself. Guys, welcome into CZ Studios with me, Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here in the CZ Studios. Patriot Mobile mic lit up for you Monday through Friday. And, of course, it's all being brought to you by the great National Rifle Association. Just to let you know what we're looking for on Sunday's Monstercast, we've extended an invitation for Mr. Comerford or for Doug Hamlin, the executive VP of the National Rifle Association, to be here. Of course, they will if they can make their schedules work. They're looking at that now. Hopefully, we'll have an answer for by the end of the day today. But if not, we'll just bring them on next week when they're not traveling. Greg, we're live on all of our platforms today, including Facebook.com/Armed American Radio, Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Please join us over on Facebook. Help us get back up to that 100,000 mark. We would appreciate it. Now at about 80,000 fans, all organic. We don't buy stuff. We don't bombard you. You get the shows every day if you want to watch them. If not, you get some reels and some fun stuff. So make sure to check that out. Greg, I'll let you do the rest of that, and then we'll go to our guest, David Codrea. We've got him for the hour on the network today to kind of close out the week for everybody.
Sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over at X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, I mean, really, why wouldn't you do that, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why wouldn't you do that? Just do that.
What I don't understand is I've got a lot of people that are in the chat, but they don't all participate.
Well, there's a few hundred in there that don't participate that should, anyway.
I've got probably 200 people that don't participate of the over 200 people that we have.
Okay, and David's getting angry over there. He's waiting, and I know what he's thinking right now. I remember that happened. David Codrea, welcome in. I remember a number of years ago, David, you will appreciate this because you know, Dave Workman was on with us, and what I didn't realize was just how busy he was that day. And he hung up the phone during the segment, and when I called him during the break, he goes, I don't have time to sit and listen to chatter all day. I'm busy. If I'm not talking guns, I'm going to get back to my writing. So I told him I loved him, and he came back on for the next 3 segments. David Codrea, how you doing, brother?
Well, actually, it's the end of one season and the beginning of another, because I told Greg I got the space heater going out on the porch so that I can have my cigar and talk to you fine folks. And you know, he's absolutely right, Mark. It is work. However, let me just ask you, would you rather be doing anything else? Because you know what? Think how fortunate and blessed we are to be able to do this. This is just like a dream come true. I can't wait in the morning to get to work.
You know, you're right about
Seriously.
that. No, I'm the same way. That's why I love Mondays. I was talking with Andy Hoosier, who I know you've talked with before, probably on this show. But regardless, Andy's, you know, he's all gung-ho on Mondays too, and I love that because I am too. I love what we do. It matters. It makes a difference. And, you know, over the years, we've touched millions and millions of lives, and that is incredibly rewarding. There's no doubt about it. To having done this for 17 years on the nation's airwaves, no doubt. And I'm like you, David. You know, I feel very blessed to be able to do this and talk about this every single day. I don't want to wish my life away, but at the same time, I like my Fridays too, brother. I have to admit that. And as far as first go, don't feel bad. Monday was the first day I walked out to the studio and actually cranked up the heat and put the little space heater on down at the floor. And then, it gets hot during the day, so it's a mess, and it's really tough on the guitars here in the studio, too. It's really tough keeping them tuned at this time of year. But I digress. David, let's talk a little bit about Glock. I want to get your opinion here. You and I spoke briefly today. Nothing that we're getting ready to say came out in that conversation, so it's 100% spontaneous. I am very suspect of the timing here. But other than that, I really don't know much more. I can't say Glock made a political calculation by discontinuing their most popular models that we know of now based on their statement. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
I'm wondering if it's a political calculation as much as it is a legal calculation. I think California coming out and, Newsom coming out and saying, you guys are no longer welcome here and, get out, had a tremendous, influence on that decision. Okay. But by the same token, by discontinuing this, I'm kind of concerned from a legal aspect. And again, everybody knows I'm not a lawyer, but, I do play one on the radio occasionally. And by doing this, are they somehow giving an admission that is going to be used against them in lawsuits? Because we know that the left never stops, despite the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. They continually come at you. They continually just ignore past judgments and do it, and nobody ever seems to slap them down and make them liable for things. And so they're going to continue to do that. So has Glock, in fact, made a legal move that they thought was going to get them out of hot water that may end up being much more expensive to them in the long run?
That's a great question, David. Let me throw this in. Again, I'm assuming, okay, which is pretty much all we have right now, is assumption. But I'm assuming that that this was discussed behind the scenes. I'm assuming that they had talked to their lawyers. I can't imagine that they haven't.
Sure.
And this is clearly, a decision, a strategic decision, which anybody that's been in business knows that you're looking at a 5 to 7 year plan at minimum on a strategic decision. And it wasn't a decision that was made lightly, and it wasn't a decision that was made overnight. This was a decision that may have been announced a couple days ago, but it wasn't a decision that was made 3 days ago and then announced the next day. It was calculated. It had to have been. Could it be just timing with Newsom? I mean, look, Glock has been, they hold everything close to their vest. They never seem to get rattled by anything, which is why I was a little surprised by the timing here. I thought the timing was suspect, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I also have to wonder how concerned for Glock I really ought to be when I see them making gun control noises to the state of Oklahoma, to, I guess, their Public Safety Committee and the legislature about the MCDs, the machine gun conversion devices, and basically coming out all for gun control when it comes to banning these things because it saves their skin. And I take that and I go back to like Bill Ruger at the height of the assault weapons ban trying to get 15-round magazine limits passed so that his 1022 wouldn't be as affected as like the ARs and the AKs were. I come back to the Clinton Rose Garden sellouts and ending up with the Hillary hole in the S&W. And I keep coming back to just the way that the gun industry will take care of itself, which we'll agree that they have to, okay? By the same token, we're out here every day without that profit incentive trying to keep the Second Amendment as the first and foremost, because what they have to realize is without that, they're dead in the water. And then I come back to examples like Hornady ammo, basically, telling New York government agencies that they're not going to sell their product to them, or Ronnie Barrett telling the LAPD the same thing, or the state of California in 2005, or the state of Hawaii in 2008, and gun makers that take a stand as opposed to gun makers that can't seem to climb in bed fast enough with the grabbers if it means hurting their own skin. This has got to be said, Mark. It's got to be said.
No, it does. And I want to continue the conversation. Guys, you're getting a taste of what we could easily carry for another 2 hours. We only have one. So we'll let the conversation roll. You've mentioned a lot, and I want to kind of pick a little bit of that apart and come back to that and discuss it in greater detail, because you ask a lot of great questions there that will easily take us through the hour. We'll see how the conversation unfolds, but there is a lot to unpack there, and these are very, very important questions, because it doesn't just impact Glock, it impacts the firearms industry in general, and it impacts you, ladies and gentlemen, from consumer choices. And then there's the politics involved. If in fact this was done for a particular reason, what kind of message does that send? We will talk about all of that with the great David Codrea when we come back. And if you remember, he is an OG. He's been with us for all of our 17 years. We'll be right back with David. Back at you guys.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch Communication and Command Center. Yes, we have a ranch. And it's the Patriot Mobile Ranch at the Command Center here.
You have a ranch?
I'm not as grandiose as John is. John called me late last
I'm
night.
not quite as grandiose as you.
I was asleep when he called, and I called him back today, and we've been playing kind of phone tag today, so I'm looking forward to bringing him to the program. He was really interested in the Glock conversation, and I think we're going to have that with him because I mentioned that I would really like to see some numbers. So we'll talk about that with John Lott on the Sunday Monstercast. There you go. You get a little taste of what's coming. But welcome back, guys, to the CZ Studios. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Make sure to check out all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com or .org, whichever one you want. We got you covered. Make sure to check them all out. Support them for supporting this voice on the airwaves for pushing near 20 years. Let's go right back to the great David Codrea, War on Guns, and of course, waronguns.com, and of course, Ammo Land, and a whole litany. Just you find everything at War on Guns. David Codrea, welcome back, brother. Let's continue this fascinating conversation. You gave us a lot to chew on. So let's kind of unpack a little bit of that. You said it has to be said. So let me focus on that for a second. Explain what you mean by it has to be said. I think I know you well enough to know where you're going to go with this. So take it away.
Well, we have loyalties, okay? And so if anybody says anything that is remotely seen as attacking a sacred cow or a particular loyalty, that's viewed as almost, if you say that Trump is doing something wrong, you get back, well, would you rather have Kamala Harris? Which is the absolute wrong question to ask. It's like, you know what? We have this Second Amendment that we are all dependent on in the ecosystem in which we reside, whether it is a gun rights activist, whether it is a radio host, whether it is a writer like myself, whether it is an FFL, whether it is a sports shooter or a hunter, whether it is a gun manufacturer or whatever. Without the Second Amendment, the whole thing just goes away. Now, you can say, well, with gun manufacturers, that's not quite true because they always have government that they can rely on. The gun manufacturers in China, don't have to worry about gun rights activists or anything like that, do they? And so when we see people in the gun industry straying, okay, we have to try to be able to point that out and make certain that they are not doing anything to undermine their customer base in this country. And so, it has to be said. That's about as clearly as I can put it.
All right. So, do you think Glock is doing something to undermine? I don't know the answers. I made that very clear in these conversations throughout the week. We have the statement from Glock on their website. I'm a huge fan of their products. I have been for decades now. Okay. The moment I found out there was a Glock handgun out that all the lefties were saying can get through airports, I had to have one. And I did. And I still have that very gun. To me, that gun is like an old worn out pair of jeans. It's super comfortable for me. It's well healed. And I can fire that thing, pretty much call my shots on that gun at virtually any distance. It's a Glock. But
okay. Well, it goes back to, and I don't have my computer screen in front of me, okay, so I'm just going on strict memory right now, but I had a post not too long ago called Et tu Glock, which is the, play on the Et tu Brute from Julius Caesar. You're part of this too, and this was their letter to the legislative committee in Oklahoma, basically endorsing laws for MCDs, the Glock switch or whatever. Now they're seeing this as a threat to their business because criminals are using these things and installing these things and creating all kinds of legal problems for Glock. I see it as a Second Amendment issue that if you believe that the right of the people to keep bear arms shall not be infringed, and if you believe, as Tench Cox did, that every terrible implement of the soldier is the birthright of an American, then there can't really be any compromise on this. And this is something that we have to have out in front of Second Amendment advocates, and we understand nobody's talking about just doing something stupid and reaching for something that we know we can't have now. Everybody understands who's mature that things have to be done in increments.
Who's mature? Wait, hold it. Operative. Okay? Who's mature?
Got it.
That's very important. I'm glad you couched that way. Here's why. Because everything that you're saying, I agree with 100,000 gazillion %. But let's go to the business aspect of this for Glock, okay? Glock found themselves in a position that they didn't want to be in because of Chinese illegal items that has, I guess I can say this, jeopardized their business model, jeopardized their business because of this. It's caused a tremendous amount of political heat in the United States of America. These things are already banned under federal law, David. Now, this is not the time, and I'll defend Glock here, while I agree with you, the absolutist in me says 100% agreement with you. But the businessman in me, the CEO in me, the man who's run, 4 businesses over the last 20 years successfully and running this one for 20 years, says now's not the right time for Glock to go absolutist and start going out and protecting the Glocks. Well, I believe I should be able to buy one, for that matter. But would you agree with me that now is not the time? And I think that's where you were going with that when you said anybody who's mature gets that step at a time?
Now is not the time to, it's never the wrong time to demand the uninfringed right to keep and bear arms. It's never the wrong time to do that. However, this is the big but. Dianne Feinstein has a big but. But I believe in the Second Amendment, but, okay? There are ways to do things and ways to do things which do not require you to go over and basically endorse gun control. There are ways to make the statement that you're making, that this jeopardizes our business model, that these are illegal in the United States, that criminals need to be taken, criminals need to be attacked as criminals, because you and I both know, and every study ever taken will prove, that you can ban all the guns you want. That's not going to keep the bad people from getting them. It's when you have the bad people out there allowed to mix freely with society, and they're caught and they're released, and you get these 40-time recidivists out there murdering people, and some Democrat judge will let them go, or some Democrat Soros DA won't prosecute them and charge them for the crimes that they need.
30.
So people who don't belong in society are out here as predators preying on the rest of us. Basically, this is why we can't have nice things type of a deal here. And so I understand, and I think everybody understands, that Glock as a business owes it to themselves and to their shareholders to survive. However, it's how do you go about doing that? What is it that you say? And I think when you start to basically give the other side ideas, you run into problems.
All right, when we come back from the break, we're going to go from that point forward. David Codrea, War on Guns. Make sure that's a clearinghouse for everything David Codrea. Make sure to check him out. You can catch him at Ammo Land as well, but War on Guns. We'll be right back with David. Don't go away. 2 more segments on a Friday. Mics are back up, guys. Fun conversation with David Codrea. I apologize we're not with you during the breaks. Just a little bit going on behind the scenes on Friday down here in Georgia.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues now. Bottom half of the hour, we're on the upswing. So, guys, buckle in because it flies right by. National Rifle Association presents this show to you every single day. Won't you please show them some love? If you live behind the blue wall, there's no excuse not to be a member anyway, quite frankly. But if you live behind the blue wall in particular, you really need to be behind. If you're behind the blue wall, you need to be backing and be behind the National Rifle Association. You need to be a member. It is $35 a year for a one-year membership, and that's all we're asking you to do is just sign up for 1 year. Help us, won't you please? $35, one-time payment for a year, and I'm going to send you a range bag to make up for it. So there you go. That's the one-year deal. If you want to go a little bit deeper because the water's warm, and it is warm, 5-year membership like I did, 5-year membership, and this is a join or renew, doesn't matter. 5-year membership, guess what? We're going to send you the range bag as well. And if you go, 3-year membership. Greg, I'll get it out. It's the 1 year and 3 years, the range bag. 5-year and life membership is the binocular. So please, join us. The water is warm. We need your help. It is $35 for 1 year. That's $10 off, period, plus the range bag. It is a no-brainer. NRA.org. We make it easy for you. NRA.org/AAR. NRA.org/AAR. And they have been absolutely wonderful to work with. They are working with every group behind the scenes. This is a new NRA, ladies and gentlemen. Please join them. I'm asking you to please join them. We need your help here. Believe me, this fight is not going away because Trump's in office. It's getting worse by the minute. David Codrea, welcome back.
Mark?
So, questions for you. I was kind of feverishly writing some stuff down here. A threat to their business. I wrote down they find themselves in a box. I mentioned the word absolutist, right? You give the other side an inch, they're going to take a mile. Glock finds themselves in a position, and David, how many times have you found yourself in this position? I know I have countless times. This guy's not, but they're saying I'm not pro-gun. I carry my gun openly almost every day. I get these morons out there telling me I'm anti-open carry. Okay? I learned a long time ago, you can't please everybody. You just can't. It's not going to work that way. So when you mention appeasing the gun grabbers, here's the box that Glock finds themselves in. And I don't envy it from a business standpoint. I'm glad I'm not running the company right now. Did they make a move? The answer to this I'm going to tell you right now is yes, because no matter what they did, every town was going to pounce, and every town did pounce, and is now taking credit for Glock making this move. But did Glock do that intentionally? Let's get real. They have to know, no matter what we do, somebody's going to hate on us, David.
It's the no-win scenario. But let me go back to what we were talking about right before the break and put 2 quick points out there.
Please do.
Okay. The first one being we had the horrible shooting in Las Vegas. What's the solution to that? Is the solution to say we're going to ban bump stocks?
Of course not.
No, that's not the solution. That's clearly not the solution. And to go out there and suggest that and try to do that works counterproductive to everything that we are striving for, and it further opens the door towards the next logical, with quotes around it, step, which is banning semi-automatics. Because without a semi-automatic mechanism, then, a bump stock is going to be useless to you. And the other point that I'd like to make is, okay, say now we've got these discontinued Glock models, and now we've got a redesigned interior. I'm not a gunsmith, okay? I don't pretend to be a gunsmith. Right. I'm lucky to, clean the things, okay? But say they make these changes. Are you really going to tell me that somebody isn't going to come along and figure out a workaround?
Well, they are. And here's the interesting part about where the position that Glock finds themselves in. Glock has Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5 models. They've been changing their models for years. And, pun intended, every generation. There's nothing new with this. Now, I will say this. I don't think I've ever seen virtually their entire lineup ever, with the exception of 3 models, the 43, 43X, and 48X, that are being left alone. And there was some talk about from Glock store about the V model. I don't have any, again, I'm with you. I'm not a gunsmith. I don't know what they're planning, and I haven't seen anything on it. So it's really hard for us to confirm that, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to throw that disclaimer out. We're going by what is available to us and talking about it because that's what we do. So, David, again, there's that whole I don't know. And that's why it's easy for me to throw it back to timing, right? It's the visual. And I go back to my original question. Did they appease the left, just hearing what you said and circling back like Jen Psaki would tell us to do? Did they appease the left by doing so? I don't know that we're ever going to know. I don't think they did. I think they made a calculated business decision, what's in the best interest for their business, knowing that they can't please everybody. And here comes that. It's a Pandora's box. It's a catch-22, David. There's really no way out, is there?
Yeah, and you have to admit that. And let me say flat out, okay, that if anybody's misinterpreting anything that I'm saying, I hope that Glock survives and is more profitable than ever.
Oh, okay? And they will be.
But I also want Glock to be sensitive to, like I say, the changing the models. I'm not going to second guess them on that. There's no way that I'm qualified to second guess that decision. Mm-hmm. My hope is that it won't be legally used as a liability against them. That's my hope there. My only concern was coming out with a pro gun control position on the MCDs. And I think that could have been handled differently, and that could have been handled defensively rather than offensively and going after things. And
I can't argue
that is the crux of my argument in terms of everything else, in terms of changing models and discontinuing some models. There's no way that I'm qualified to render any kind of judgment on that, except to say that I hope it doesn't come back to be used to destroy them.
And I'll tell you why I think it's not going to, and I'll tell you why I think Glock is going to wind up. I think it, again, the timing is suspect, but I understand the business side of it, okay? I'm trying to play both sides here, which is hard to do. But from a businessman standpoint, I understand exactly why they would have made that decision, assuming that everything we're talking about here is accurate, okay? And I think it is.
Yeah.
Here's why I believe they're going to come out of this incredibly profitable. Somebody asked me in a Facebook post I put out that had thousands of views and a lot of response, and I do appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'm going to go back, and I apologize for not having the individual's name. I'm going off memory like David is right now, which, by the way, speaks of his brilliance. I just want to point that out, David. And when I say this, the question was, would you exchange your Glock for one of the new models? And my response was quick, no. And here's why. I want to keep my Glocks. I don't want to exchange it. And I'll also buy the new one. And David, I think that sentiment is going to be all over the place. People are going to keep their Glocks. They're going to buy the new ones. I think Glock is going to this might be one of the biggest boons to the firearms industry since since Trump was elected, because the industry is now down anywhere from 15 to 40%. I think Glock numbers are going to go through the roof. Now, we're getting ready to take a break, David. I would like your thoughts on that when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, you are on the Armed American Radio Network. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom. We have exactly one segment left to go. So as we go to the break and hear the music, please visit our partners at armedamericanradio.com. If you need a new holster, Crossbreed's got you covered. You want some emergency food supplies? Heaven's Harvest has you covered. Need to clean your guns, including your Glocks, old models, new models, whatever they are? BarrelBuddy.com. Use the promo code AAR. And if you go to the website, they're going to show you how you can make money doing that. There's nothing wrong with making money. If you saw a $20 bill sitting on the ground right now, would you bend down and pick it up? Uh-huh. You would. Armed American Radio will be right back with David Codrea.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Guys, I'm holding up my Attorneys on Retainer card. I do it every single day when we're on camera, okay? If you carry a gun, you know evil is real. You know you may have to use your gun. And if you have to use your gun, you're going to want an attorney, I can promise you. It's that simple. Attorneys on Retainer, $35 a month. Use the promo code AAR, attorneysonretainer.us, promo code AAR. Take advantage of this. Don't be stupid, okay? And the reason I say that is you don't want to find, you hear it every single day, and guess what? That day happens. And I didn't act. Now you find yourself under investigation needing an attorney, and it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Eric and I from Attorneys on Retainer were talking just yesterday, and guess what? There's a case in Prescott, Arizona, where the guy was not an AAR member, had to use his firearm, hired AAR, okay, but in the meantime, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he was exonerated. Now, Joey from Attorneys on Retainer is going to be on the program on Sunday night to tell us about this entire case. It's remarkable. Just make sure to tune in Sunday, and gosh, if you're on the fence, get off the fence. It is the greatest no-brainer we have ever had on this program, ever. And that's 17 years running with our great partners that we have. Attorneysonretainer.us, promo code is AAR, $35 a month, and have an attorney. It's that simple. David Codrea, welcome back to the broadcast, brother.
Great to be with you. And anyway, to continue on with where we're going, it's like when you say things that people perceive as negative, it's not because you're tearing them down. It's, why is it that I sometimes say things that are critical of the Trump administration or the Department of Justice? It's not because I want them to fail. It's I don't want them to take fire out of the bellies of gun owners to where we're not turning out the vote because they're just an order of magnitude better than anything that the Democrats would ever offer us, even when they are flawed. And we have to understand that. I don't want to see Glock in a position where they're riding the tiger like Sig Sauer is right now with the P320, to where if they let go, it's like, it's going to turn on them and try to devour them. I don't want to see them in a situation like Colt Canada is going through right now, with allegations of participating in, after the forced buyback, with the destruction and things like that. No company should have to go through that, because no company should be putting themselves in the position to where that even becomes suspect. And so when we say these things, we are trying from a gun activist perspective to let these people know what we're seeing and what we're seeing the other side is going to make of it. So please take it as constructive criticism.
Which it is. And I think you know better than anybody, David, without going back over the years together. We don't have time to do that. But when you're critical or viewed as critical of your own side, boy, particularly with the internet now, right? They're all over you, okay? And maybe some of it's justified, maybe some of it's not justified. It depends on what perspective you bring to the table when you view the things you say, or somebody other than those who are feeling that way say about what might be happening. Believe me, there's no way Glock is saying to themselves or speaking at a board meeting, well, let's appease the gun grabbers. That did not happen. It did not happen. However, they know at the same time this is going to be viewed this way. Let's put our statement. And Glock has been great at this over the years. They put their this is why I don't think we're going to hear anything else from Glock. They put their statement out on their website, Dave, and boom, there it is. That's it. Refer to our website.
Put a personal perspective. Yeah, just to put a personal perspective on what you just talked about. I've written articles, 2,000, 3,000 word article. Somebody will take exception to one word and turn the conversation into just an attack on that one word and what my intent must have been. And so, we have to understand that that's a real danger too. When you're out there without a net, okay, it hurts when you fall.
Oh, that's a great point. I like that analogy because it is true. Well, I guess it only hurts if you fall if you let it hurt. Because there's a lot of boneheads out there, like the boneheads that say, I'm not pro open carry. For crying out loud, I'm open carrying right now. Give me a break, okay? You can't please everybody. And when you start looking at the extremes of both sides, as far as I'm concerned, that's where you start, okay? Let's look at what the anti-gunners are saying on the extreme, What the gun owners are saying, yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is, and David, you'll agree with me, there's an extreme on both sides. Let's be real, okay? That's how you begin to come into them and start forming opinions on some of these things. No one will, like I said the other day, and I went off on it. Do you really believe CZ Colt is wanting to take your guns? They're not. It's that simple. Glock is not appeasing the gun grabbers here. What I'm saying is that the timing, you know, I don't like the timing of it. But at the same time, I get the business side of it. They have to make business decisions. It's pretty much that simple.
Hey, Mark, you know, if not now, when? You know, when
Right.
is it going to be a good time?
Well,
Okay.
look, when is a good time to have a flat tire? Is there ever a good time to have a flat tire?
Yeah.
No, because you're going somewhere for a reason. A flat tire is an inconvenience. There's an inconvenience all the way around, Dave. It is a fascinating conversation, though. It really, truly is. So what else are you working on now, David? Let's move on with the last minute. What do you got cooking? What's up David Codrea's sleeves?
Well, I'm looking into right now pursuing Mr. Trump, recommending that there should be an alternate candidate to get Thomas Massie out of office. And I strongly disagree with that. And so I'm looking into putting together an article for Firearms News to address just that.
All right, when that comes out, we'll
And,
have you on the program to go there. Let's talk quick because you've written about Winsome Sears. What does Trump and the NRA have to do here? Because we can lose Virginia in 2 weeks.
I think we can lose Virginia, and we've outlined this on this program before. There are districts that need to be organized, and that means manpower, that needs money. Mr. Trump just recently came out and gave a endorsement of Republicans and said, okay, for Winsome Sears, but he really hadn't been involved in the governor's race there. I think that he needs to be. I think that there's some past ill feelings over something that she said about him in 2024. But you know what? If you're going to hold that against him, then you better get rid of J.D. Vance too, because he said some
30.
horrible stuff about Trump.
Which is
So
why I don't think
everybody
he's.
needs to-
I don't think there's a grudge there. I don't think there's a grudge. I'll tell you what I would love to see Trump do. As a member of one of the 60 people on the get to Virginia and start campaigning for her. Okay.
Absolutely.
That absolutely has to happen. I'm surprised it has not yet.
Yeah, and again, you know, it's like there are things to do, and there are things that are being done in Virginia. I am not seeing the necessary resources and manpower. Of course, I don't have total visibility on who's done what, and that reporting isn't in yet.
You bet. David, you're going to be here next week. We'll talk about it. I'm not sure what day. It'll be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, though. We do know that for sure. David, where can people find you real quick?
WarOnGuns.com. WarOnGuns.com will take you to my Firearms News, and it'll take you to my Ammo Land.
Thank you, David, for everything that you do, personally, business-wise, and everything that you've done for this program and brought to this program. Incredible insight, wisdom, and commentary and analysis from David Codrea for nearly the last 20 years, ladies and gentlemen. David Codrea, WarOnGuns.com. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to enjoy your weekend. We'll close out with this. Carry on, carry off, and carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would ever be caught outside his cave without his club. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the Monster Cast on Sunday.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
Okay, guys, thank you for being here. I appreciate it very much. Some of you might have heard some stuff going on in the background. It's not feedback. There was a lot of heavy construction going on here yesterday, which is why we had no choice but to run an encore. There was no way I was going to be able to overcome it. And, well, you know, sadly, that was a battle I lost. The timing was horrible because the contractors just, well, frankly, sucked. There were 2 days and 8 hours off, which caused us to have to run an encore yesterday. So some of that background noise that you heard is beyond our control. In the meantime, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. I want each and every one of you to enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. We'll see you on Sunday's Monster Cast. It's going to be a good one. Stay safe. See you on the radio.